All right,
Cheers.
welcome everybody to our second installment of our team discussions live with Employers Advantage. Our topic this month is getting to know the team and getting to know Employers Advantage. So we're going to start with each of us talking about how we got into HR, maybe why we got into HR, and what that looks like. So we're going to have Jessica facilitate this conversation and get it started.
All right. Much to his dismay, we're going to start with Robert only because Robert does not have an HR background, and his position, I think, with Employers Advantage is a little bit unique. And so, Robert, talk to us a little bit about your position here with Employers Advantage and how you got into HR, because it's kind of a weird thing for you.
You really started with me.
I did.
No.
You're
No.
right underneath me, so it makes sense.
But my role here is the client relationship manager, and so essentially, as the title might suggest, relationships, building relationships, helping to cultivate and manage those relationships, and develop them is a large part of what I do. In addition to helping with some marketing efforts and just overall kind of brand awareness as well. How I arrived here is it's really kind of an interesting journey. So obviously, having passion around conversations and developing relationships and growing in that way, but also some of my experiences as far as HR and my thoughts and perceptions around what I feel HR should represent and some of the stigmas around HR. And so a large part of that is really, just HR, human resources, right? So we have to address that, should address the human elements first, the people elements, creating the right cultures and supporting people and just valuing people for who they are as human beings, not necessarily just because of what they bring to the table, but understanding that it all plays a part and it all fits together, but first and foremost, the people. So I love people, love to see people kind of grow and develop. And so HR seems to be a great fit there. And I'm hoping to one day change the world through HR.
One small business at a time.
There you go.
That's right.
Thanks, Robert. Deanna, how did you get into HR, and why are you here with us today?
I'll tell you why I'm here is because I'm a bad employee, because I ask a lot of questions and I don't do well in large corporate environments. That's why I started my own business. And that's why I'm here. How I got into HR was because I was at a company that shall remain nameless, but is a large national organization that had a horrible HR function. I mean, these two ladies, Jill and Susan, I will never forget their names. They were so mean. They were just nasty, nasty, mean people. And people would come out of their offices crying all the time. Like they would share the business. Like when somebody would come in and talk to them, they'd make fun of them and share it with other people. I mean, it was just horrible anyway. And I was in accounting. I took a intro to HR course just to find out like, why is this so wrong? And then I realized that they were wrong. And then when I took that intro to HR course, I loved it. So I worked full time in accounting while getting my degree in HR at night so that I could get into HR and do what Robert said he wants to do, is change the world. So that's how I ended up in HR. Yeah.
Awesome. It's super interesting that you worked in accounting first, because I don't tend to think of accounting-minded people as HR type people.
It's not. And because when I was in accounting, I would get in trouble for talking all the time.
Got your conduct lowered.
So clearly I was not in the right role.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize you could get in trouble for talking.
I mean, this was a gazillion years ago. It was that's what I'm saying. These people were horrible. Yeah.
Horrible people driving you to HR to make it better.
Right. Yeah. I just felt like it couldn't have been it couldn't have been how it's supposed to be, and it wasn't. We all know that there's good and there's bad HR people. And they just happened to be bad HR people, but luckily they were bad enough that it got me into what I really love to do. So that's how I ended
So
up there.
win-win for everybody.
A win-win, except for
'Cause
Jill
now-
and Susan. Who knows what they're doing now?
Because now we have Employers Advantage, and here we are. So
Yeah, see?
yeah.
Thanks, Jill. Susan.
All right, Sandra, welcome to the team.
Thanks.
You know, day what, 4? And we're
Day
already
4.
asking
Well,
you
yeah.
why are you in HR? What brought you
Yeah.
here to this life?
So I feel like I have an interesting story-ish. So I went to college and I did what I really enjoyed in college, which was reading and writing and history, which totally gets you a great job when you get your degree and you leave college. I thought I would be a professor, and then by the time I got towards the end of my degree, I was like, I'm done with school. I want to go out in the real world and I'm going to make money and it's going to be awesome. So I use my degree as like a communications degree because it's very surprising like how many people can't write well or communicate well. So that's what I went with. And my first job was a sales job with a technical college in their admissions department, and my job was to sell tuition. Well, then I was really good at it. I'm really good with people. All this other stuff, it's a lot of fun. I like getting people connected to the education and the programs that they liked. But then I kept seeing like how much their tuition was and then like how much I was making. I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense to me. I'm gonna do sales because that's where the money's at. So I looked around, I got this great sales job, and after 2 weeks, I'm like, what have I done? This is not for me. I am not a salesperson. The folks that I worked with, they were like out for themselves. They were, like, yeah, we'll help you if you give me a percentage of your commission. And that's not how I operate at all. Like, I like to be in a team. I like to work together. I like to collaborate. So I'm like, well, obviously I can't do sales. What am I going to do? So I was just searching. Back then it was career builders. Is that even like a thing anymore?
It is. Yeah.
Looking on career builders, like what can I do? And there was this recruiter job for an engineering consulting firm. And I just sent in my resume. I'm like, what they're looking for seems like what I can do. And they called me and they interviewed me and they hired me. And I found my people. I found I found everything that I had been looking for. So I always tell people I fell into HR. My first position was a recruiter. They were growing and expanding, and so I had lots of opportunities to get into other areas. I had a great manager who encouraged me to get my PHR so that I could progress with the company, and I've been in HR ever since.
I feel like most of the HR folks I know didn't start out in HR and they just kind of fell into it. And I do apologize. I was remiss at introducing Sandra at the beginning as our newest team member. She's a recruiting specialist and we're super excited to have her. She just started on Monday and we threw her into a discussion on Thursday. So here we go.
But it's a fun one, because I didn't have to prepare too much.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that's kind of my story, and I've done other things. I went into an employee relations position, and that's so different than recruitment, and it's not my style. Like my area is on the other end. I like the people, I like the fun stuff, and the let's get you a job, let's get you trained, let's get you whatever. So that's kind of where most of my positions, that focus has always been that, because that's just what I'm better at.
Yeah.
I think Deanna, I don't know, one of our colleagues, I think, said one time, like, if you start off in HR, you're probably not going to stay in HR. like it's better to like fall into it because then you learn what you like along the way, and that that it's actually a fit for you versus like going to school and being in it from the beginning. I don't know.
I think there's truth to that. There are several people that I know that have since quit the HR profession that came from an HR program got their licenses, got their jobs, and they were like, mm-mm.
Same. I have quite a few friends who started in HR and now they're not doing HR anymore.
Right.
Rachel, you're up.
I'm up.
Tell me, how did you get into HR?
So I actually started in psychology, and I realized I knew what I thought was I always was sympathetic towards people, and I didn't realize that I was actually an empath. And when I got further into psychology, I realized I could not shake what I was hearing from people, and it was affecting me too much. I was coming home with it. And so I decided, I started looking and said, what could I do that is still helping people? And even within HR, we are still, employees, clients, they'll still come to us with some of their personal problems, but it's not on the level of being a psychologist or a psychiatrist to them. And so that's what made me pivot over to HR. And then after being in it for, it'll tell my age, we'll just say an undisclosed amount of years of being in HR, I decided to go back and get a degree in psychology. I did psychology and women and gender studies because I realized that even though, within HR, we have to know so much in the employment law field and so much legalities, where sometimes often I feel like I am an attorney just without, the title and the license. But the employee side of it, so much of it is psychology. And that, so it kind of went full circle for me, because I'm still able to utilize the skills I learned within psychology, the way to handle people, the way to, that you should treat people, how to talk someone off a ledge. I mean, so many things, but utilize it within HR. Now, do I still feel people's issues and it's hard for me to shake it? Yeah. I mean, that's just me. But I'm not dealing, luckily, with a lot of the traumas that a psychologist would be. And I just, I like helping people, like Sandra said, being able to help someone with moving up in their career or getting a job, or, when we're succession planning for someone, or, anything like that, it feels like a win for me, because you've helped somebody improve their life, and then at the same time, we're sitting here helping our clients and helping them run their businesses and do everything the right way. So
Yeah,
that's my story.
so much of HR, I think maybe why people either don't, like, if they start in it, they might fall out of it, or if they haven't started in it, they go into it, is because they don't realize how much of that human behavior component is a part of it. Of course, in college, if you're going for your HR degree, you're only taught employment law standards and business standards. There's no, like, when I went back to school to get my degree in HR, I wasn't required to take psychology or sociology, any kind of human behavior course, and it should be required if you're going to go get an HR degree, because that's
Absolutely.
a big component of it, and not everybody can function in that environment. So
Right, definitely.
Yeah. Shannon, you know you're next.
All of our stories are kind of similar. I've got my communications degree, so moved to Chicago out of college with no job and like big expectations to make it in the world, and quickly got an admin assistant / receptionist job. And I was thankful in that I had a great HR manager there, because I didn't really even know what HR was. It was my first job, other than like jobs in college. So I'm lucky in that my first experience with HR was one that was very people centered, people focused, and I keep in touch with her to this day. So she was able to kind of get me started and get me interested in the career in general, and at least teach me the value from a personnel perspective, and then left there and started doing recruiting, which I think is nice to have on a resume if you've done HR in any capacity. It offers the sales component, but again, it's more personal because you're getting people jobs and getting to figure out how to recruit, what a resume looks like, how onboarding looks, what relationships with other departments within a company look like, and how you recruit for them. And then from having done recruiting for a couple of years, I was able through referrals to get a job as an HR generalist. So that kind of took me more in that direction, but all in Chicago, all through referrals, luck, happenstance. Very few of my jobs were intentionally sought out. And then, yeah, here we are. And I like it. I like going into a company and making the employees think differently of HR. Like, I love when I hear, oh my gosh, you're not what I expected.
Yeah.
And I hope that's good. Sometimes it's not, but I like when they're like, I've gotten people email me and thank me for helping get some medical condition covered, which it should have been. And it was kind of like, I didn't know you were there to do that. I just thought you were there to tell me what I can and cannot do in the office. So
Right.
I like being pleasantly surprising.
I think that's a positive of small businesses too, because, with our clients who we work with, they focus on their niche, like what they're good at. And then we can come in and focus on what we're good at. Right. And then it's magical to them because it helps them run their business smoother. So I think we get that in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, sorry, Rachel. I was just going to say, I don't know. And this is kind of a question out to the team. Does anyone in this group, would they prefer or do they mind working at a large company, or are we all here because we prefer to work with small and mid-sized companies?
Raise your hand, small business.
The second option.
I've
Number
done
two.
both. I've done both, and I will never go back, ever. I just wanted to piggyback off something you said, Shannon. I think it's a testament, excuse me, to the team that Deanna has built for Employers Advantage, for, what you said about people saying you're not like any other HR person that I've ever dealt with. I hear that all the time. I know Jessica's heard that. Sandra, I'll guess you have, because you're just, starting here. But, I remember having that conversation with Robert, months ago, that it was so unlike what, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Robert, but it was something along the lines of, it was so unlike what the perception of HR was before, that we are all actually friendly people. And
here we are.
we care about people. And I think that's something different with us and this team, is that we're always looking on how things can be improved, and not just within us, but helping each other, when anybody needs help, helping our clients, and improving culture for their businesses. I mean, just all of that. So I will never leave our team, because it's definitely, what you said, Shannon. I mean, it's definitely unlike anything that I've ever worked in before. So
yeah.
Robert and I were on a call with a client here in Charlotte, and the guy goes, like, they were legitimately shocked at how well the HR function through us was working with them. And he said, we were always taught not to eat lunch with HR, but you guys like changed our perception of that. And it was really funny. Like, yeah, they had a weird transition around how they thought about HR, which is good, but it was just kind of funny.
I had a call with a client yesterday. Sorry, Robert, did you want to piggyback off of what Deanna said?
No.
Oh, okay. I had a call yesterday with a client, and we were talking about policies, and he was saying, I don't like to have to need these. And so it kind of led into, as a parent, like, don't make me be the bad guy. And then it led into, and he was driving this. But then somehow I had talked about a conversation my husband had where he makes terrible apologies. And he was like, oh, I didn't know I got marital advice. That's great. I'm going to use it. And he's like, seriously, like, how does that make you feel when your husband says that? Okay, I'm going to write that down. Like, it was so funny. And he's like, wow, I didn't know HR gave marital advice. I'm not. But you want to be friendly, and you don't, it's an interesting balance, because you still know as HR, you don't want to overstep, and you want to allow people privacy. You still know the rules around it. So it's hard to marry the two sometimes.
Yeah.
But I hope that this team, and I think this team, is able to find that balance.
Yeah.
And it's just our need to want to help people. I mean, everyone's talked about that. Like, we just want to help people and point them in the right direction. So, yeah.
Mhm.
I guess I got to share. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, Jessica, you.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, and Jessica, last
know.
but not least.
Yeah, much like everyone else, I did not start out in HR. I actually got my degree in biology. Thought I was going to go to medical school. Clearly that didn't happen. And then I quickly realized that I thought I needed to be in education. So I went and got my master's in college student development, and worked on a college campus for a little while. And all my positions on campus, so I worked in international studies, and did a lot with visas and the legal side of things there, and then moved into the director of tutoring services, where I employed about 150 students and worked with HR really closely to hire and fire and deal with employee relations issues and train and onboard all those students. And I was a one-woman office, so I was doing it all, and working with 2 local small businesses, which is where I found my passion in small business. I just realized that these people who own these small businesses have these niches, and they're so good at what they do, but they don't know HR, and that is no fault to theirs. That's where we can come in and do what we need to do. And luckily, my family and I were transitioning to Charlotte, and I cold called Deanna and just kind of said, I'm pretty sure this is what I want to do with my life, but I need you to trust that.
Okay.
And she said, okay. And she's been wonderful and sort of guiding me through the next steps in becoming an HR professional. So just this past year, I am certified PHR, and I love it. I love everything about it. I will say, probably it's not something that everyone loves, but I like the policy side of things. I like the legal side of things. I like looking at the law and then saying, okay, how can this benefit my client, but still stay within the realm of the law? That is, it allows me to use my mind in a different way. And I really enjoy that part of it. I don't think people really like that part, but I do.
I like that part too. I like the employee relations. That's the main reason I got into HR, was the employee relations stuff. So
I don't like reading those legal documents, but I like interpreting them and trying to make sense of them and turning it into a benefit for my client, however that turns out.
Yeah.
So.
I'm literally just here thinking about one of my last interactions when someone asked about big corporate. One of my last interactions with leadership at big corporate, I remember, they go through your reviews and all that sort of stuff. And I literally remember sitting in an office in the chair, going through these things, and I literally got a headache because I was like, this doesn't make sense. And I'm sitting there like contemplating, do I just do the normal corporate thing and nod and go along with it? Or do I literally speak out and say, this doesn't make sense? And there was that moment of, they asked me, does that make sense?
Oh no.
I paused, I dropped my head, then I picked my head up and I said, no, it doesn't. For me, thank you. That was my last interaction with you. There's a breaking point when you just realize that I've seen this over and over and over again. And I remember having a fear. There was one particular company that it's a major national company that I had intentionally avoided for so long, because you could just sense it even when you spoke to the people there. Everyone, you always saw the dread when you asked them about this company, even though they had great benefits and all this sort of stuff. And I ended up once actually taking a position there, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And that is, that's tough. And so with small business, what we're hoping to create, just as like everyone's talking about, is that pleasant surprise of, wait, that's HR. That's how, that's how things are managed here. That's how things are working here. So, but yeah, I'm sorry. I was just reminiscing about that breaking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't, this doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. It's okay to have lunch with HR.
Have lunch with us. That would be
I also
fun.
think, like, when I find myself having to do policy or stuff that's stereotypical HR, I know it's necessary too. And it's just one of those things, like, as a parent, like, don't hold the scissors that way. I know it's more fun to hold the scissors that way, but I'm telling you, you're going to get hurt. And so I can justify a lot of the not fun HR things, knowing based on experience, like, we need this truly. I know you don't love it. I know it makes me look like HR and you not want to have lunch with me tomorrow, but truly, trust me. So in my own head, I've been able to justify a lot of things that might be stereotypical HR and not fun, because I truly know they're necessary. I think we all do that too. I think our clients can trust that the not fun stuff is needed.
Not just like writing policies and, nodding your finger and saying no, but also having those difficult conversations with people to take them to the next step, right? Or take them to the next level, or allow them to be more successful. Because sometimes it takes some of this storming to get you to next step. And it doesn't feel good, but long term, I mean, we've all been there, right? Having these difficult conversations. It takes the employee or supervisor or whoever the case may be to the next step. And in the moment, it kind of sucks, but then it feels good.
Yeah.
I think, part of that and what makes a successful HR team is bringing people to a place of understanding versus telling people to do something because I said so. So I kind of use my kids, you know what I mean? Like, I always talk about, like, I, could never understand it because I said so. But if I could gain some understanding, I was more likely to be complicit.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about my childhood. There were some things that, if I didn't understand, there's a good chance that we'd be having this conversation several times.
Yeah.
But if I had some level of understanding, and so I kind of think of HR that way. There's so many things that it's just been that way, and it's like, because HR's kind of been the disciplinarian, right? And so it's just because I said so. But if I can understand why this is important, how this protects me as an employer or as an employee, how this is beneficial, then I'm more likely to comply.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we've all had nicknames too. Like, they always nickname HR. Like,
I'm Toby. I'm
Yeah.
Toby.
Shannon's Toby. I was the Hammer for years, because people don't call you by your name. You're either like the HR lady, the HR guy, or Toby, Hammer. Brenda on our team too. They call her Ray Donovan. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. It's kind of funny, but anyway.
Well, I want to thank everyone for sharing their stories. I think it's important for our clients and just people to know that, it's not a direct path, and we do what we do because we love working with people and we like to see success. We're not bad people. Go have lunch with us. We're fun.
Yeah, come have lunch with us.
And I think HR can be beneficial to you and your business. Employers Advantage, we specifically work with small businesses, and as you can tell, we all we chose small businesses. So we enjoy working with people who are passionate about what they do, but may not know much about the HR, and that's okay. That's where we can help. So thank you everyone for sharing.
Thank you. We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time on our next team discussion. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.